Hello, it is Foundation Friday, April 20th, 2020. Steve Sipress here on a spectacular spring day here in sunny Arizona. My girl's been in and out of the pool all day. Hope you're in and out of the pool wherever you are as well. Let's get to another part in our multi-part series on the great book, Timeless. Book by J. Paul Getty, How to Be Rich, written over 50 years ago, and it's as if he wrote it a week ago. Jeff is here. Good seeing you. So, last week we started in this chapter, part 3, called The Vanishing Americans, Dissenters. And we talked about how Getty, one of the most successful capitalists of all time, still had no problem with socialists spouting off about their ridiculous concepts and ideas and dangerous nonsense, because he believed in free speech and the free exchange of ideas, and there's something to be gained and learned from how other people think, even when they're spectacularly wrong. And that is still true today. But let's get into the end of the chapter here, which I've saved for this week. And first of all, he talks about how complacent people were. This is 50 years ago. But it's still true today, how whenever there's any kind of trivial controversy, this is especially true with social media, about some kind of or a reality show TV star or anything like that, massive controversy, and everyone's got their 2 cents, and everyone's got to know what's going on, and everyone's got an opinion. But something important happens, like an overthrow of a dictator somewhere else in the world, or some international, you could ask, and you see these man on the street interviews. The average person's like, what? They couldn't draw Wuhan on a map. They wouldn't know a coronavirus from a flu. In fact, what do you know? There pretty much is no difference. And that's why this is so timely even today, because today we have once again what was happening in Getty's day, of people going along with the status quo and being so easily bamboozled, brainwashed, misled into believing whatever the media, the government, people in authority positions, doctors, whatever they tell them, they believe, without doing further research. And I don't mean research by watching government bureaucrat press conferences or any kind of mainstream or cable or network news shows, or even searching on a biased search engine like Google.com that's only going to show you what it wants to show. Actually digging in for the truth. Now, Getty, in his day, they were coming out of the 50s, which was the post-war baby boom time of complete cookie-cutter complacency with the move to the suburbs and everyone having a white picket fence and the 2.3 kids and dressed the same, looked the same, acted the same. Well, we've just gone through a period recently where, up until this one, pretty much every president of the last few decades has been exactly the same, policies all the same. You couldn't tell a Republican from a Democrat except for the show they put on. They even, give up to each other during the debates, and McCain suspended his campaign, and Romney said, okay, Obama, even though you're wrong, I give up, and back and forth, and Bush, you could push him over with a feather, and until this bull in a china shop came along, you couldn't even tell the party of anybody. So everyone just going along with whatever they're told, and that's certainly what's happening now. We have been brainwashed into voluntarily locking ourselves in our homes like we're in prison because of some outrageous fear that has been way overblown about contracting a virus. Everyone has viruses in their body, first of all. If you don't know that, again, look it up. But we all have viruses in our body. So first of all, any testing they're doing for this coronavirus, COVID, whatever thing, it's in pretty much everyone's body. So right away, everyone tests positive. Second of all, everyone cause of death. The government told you that all the doctors in the hospitals have been ordered that everybody just died of the virus. So all the numbers are off. They're all inflated. It's all made to seem like it's some big panic. And that has caused basically the downfall of the Trump economy, the downfall of the entire America. Notice how Obama doesn't take credit anymore. It's not the Obama economy that's been destroyed. It's the entire American and a lot of the world economy has been completely destroyed. Massive unemployment. No, we're not coming out. It's not pent-up demand as Trump tries to get. Do you believe that one too? That there's pent-up, somehow how is there pent-up demand? I'll tell you there's pent-up. There's pent-up bills to pay. Okay, there's shut-off notices and evictions and foreclosures are all being put off until the shutdown ends. Well, then guess what's going to happen when the shutdown ends? People are going to have months to pay of bills, of rent, of mortgages. They're going to have to work out all kinds of deals. So no, they're not about to be jumping on planes and staying in hotels and flying all over the place. And second of all, since the whole thing is fake and overblown, it's not like the government can just, since they've scared the crap out of people with all the false, overblown panic crap, it's not like they can just declare, okay, everybody, go back to work. Okay, everybody, go back to flying on planes and getting on public transportation and walking around. Well, I don't care what the government says the scared person. I ain't doing any of that stuff. So they've crashed the economy, which is hurt and will continue to hurt millions more people than the virus ever could, and we just compliantly fell for it, and people still are today. But Getty talks about the compliance and the status quo coming out of the cookie-cutter 50s, and he predicts that the dissenters are going to be coming back. And what do you know? He wrote this in a series of articles in the early 60s, from 61 to 65. What happened in the late 60s? Yeah, the time of the most unrest in American history, with all of the protests and all of the assassinations and the terrorism and the bombings and all kinds of craziness going on. Getty predicted that in this book. But first he talks about how people will dissent over trivial things, but not even know serious things that are going on. And then he sends, there's nothing wrong with dissent and criticism. There's a great need for both in our present day society. And again, especially right now during this bogus line we've been fed. I mean, why do you think, there's all kinds of videos everywhere, video evidence. Hospitals that on the news, you're being told these are packed and overrun, and then of course somebody goes there with a video camera and sees there's nobody there. They're empty. And so all the nonsense, there's a great need for dissent and criticism. Getty says, I believe firmly that now, as never before in our history, it's essential that not only our intellectuals, but also our average citizens question, doubt, probe, criticize, and object. The stifling of dissent is not constitutional guarantees of free speech, but also renunciation of the most basic and precious of democratic principles. Only if there are open discussions and arguments based on uninhibited criticism, turn the page with one hand, can there be an end to the growing trend towards complacency. And only when complacency disappears will it be possible for the U.S. to fully exert and exploit its vigorous individualistic drive to achieve progress, betterment, and world leadership. In a free society, nothing that in any way affects the lives or welfare of the public at large should ever be immune from examination and criticism. Nothing, including what I would guess 90% of Americans have bought into this crap and total BS, that this is a once-in-a-lifetime virus different than every other, and everyone has to lock yourselves in your house and close down your business and go bankrupt and have no free speech and no freedom of travel and no freedom of assembly, and you can't have any hobbies, and except who are we being told this by? This every day. I say it all the time. We're being told by a lineup of government officials and bureaucrats, inept, hypocritical, lousy bureaucrats, standing there shoulder to shoulder with no masks on, right? Lecturing us about how we have to stay 6 feet apart and wear masks and whatever. And people believe it. Come on, people, wake up. Foreign policy, labor management, educational system, whatever. There's always justification and need for continuing critical scrutiny. And I'll move to the part where he talks about the educational system. You hear me talk about this a lot. Sending a kid to a public school is a form of child abuse. I mean, it's great for daycare, and they feed some people that otherwise aren't getting fed at home, but otherwise, am I the only one that doesn't realize people are graduating high school all over America can't even read or write past the 6th grade or 8th grade level, even coming out of college? I mean, the whole thing, it's not an education system, it's a compliance schooling, producing good factory workers and people that'll just do what they're told. I mean, that's the whole point of the public school system. And Getty says, our educational system, a shocking percentage of our high school and college graduates are deficient in reading, writing, and simple arithmetic. Their knowledge of geography is weak, of history, woolly and muddled. There's obviously something wrong with our educational system. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that there might even be something wrong with at least some of our school teachers. But oh, heaven help anyone daring to express such heretical views. Though through some weird process of brainwashing, the public has come to believe that our schools are sacrosanct, beyond criticism or question. As for our teachers, they have been endowed with sublime qualities. They're pictured as long-suffering, overworked, sacrificing themselves on the altars of education. Any criticism of either schools or teachers brings a storm of abusive protest. Well, that's what's happening right now with the whole medical profession. Look, of course, first responders and nurses and doctors are heroic, but you're seeing this nonsense. Do you know any? I mean, I know plenty of them, and you see this nonsense on the news about, oh, we're worn out at the end of the day, and it's just so tough seeing patients that are dying, and you might say, how is that different than a year ago? How is that different than 2 years ago? If you work in an emergency room, the intake, of course you're seeing all kinds of suffering and death, and it's stressful, and but of course the media misses no opportunity to get those people, interview them, and what heroes they are, and oh, they're having it so tough. But that's what they do. Okay, I do triage on business owners, advertising, marketing, and sales systems. So if I reacted the same way, I'd go home at the end of the day exhausted and just go, oh, another day of seeing business owners who are wasting money on advertising and marketing and not selling correctly, and just they're going broke, and they don't have enough clients, or they don't have the right clients or patients or members or customers. They're just not attracting the people they really want to work with, and they're having to lower their prices and lower their profits, and they're paying themselves last and not at all. Trouble, and I can see it right there, and their ad is terrible, and their marketing is terrible, and their website's terrible, and their emails are bad, and their social media posts horrible. I can see it right there. Okay, so at the end of the day, am I all depressed and miserable and I can't handle it because I see such pain and suffering? Look, that's what I do for a living. I see pain and suffering, and I offer a solution. It's the same with firemen, policemen, doctors, nurses, whatever. So are they beyond, because Fauci says this, and he's the head of whatever, so whatever he says is true. It's almost the complete opposite, people. I keep looking up everything this guy says, and almost all of it is a complete fabrication, a complete lie. He's got agendas all over the place. I mean, come on, wake up, people. So in the end, I'll just skip to the end. Getty says this: in order that our society and its institutions may be strengthened, there must be dissent. There must be dissenters who will seek out and point out the faults and abuses which exist or may develop. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I have a friend and a neighbor named Ron who's a handyman, and we have him come over and fix stuff once in a while. And he came over a couple of weeks ago, and we were in complete BS that now I'm brainwashed and conditioned not to love my neighbor, but to fear my neighbor. Oh, I better stand 50 feet apart from my neighbor because they might kill me with a deadly disease. All viruses attack the weak immune systems and the older, weaker people with underlying... Always. This one is no different than any other one ever. Don't listen to the BS. Look it up yourself and find the truth. And I said, people are not going to stand for this longer. I'm going to start using social media to say, that's it. Let's get 5,000 people and let's march down Main Street arm in arm in a crowd, not social distancing, not wearing a mask, not any BS. And let's go march down to City Hall or government or governor's mansion or whatever, let's protest. And sure enough, and Ron said to me, yeah, but anytime you say that stuff, just like Eddie points out here, anytime you say that stuff, oh, I'm shamed. Oh, how dare you? Oh, if you go out without a mask, you must not care about society. You're going to infect people, and you just don't care, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'm shunned from it all. I'm like, well, I don't crap, in case you haven't noticed. And he said, then you should be the one to lead the revolt. And I said, don't worry, there'll be plenty of people. And sure enough, I saw on the news yesterday, a couple of days ago, there are thousands of cars driving down to the governor's office somewhere and protesting, and somewhere else, all over. Notice it won't be in the liberal coastal states where they love government and they trust everything government says, and they believe government should rule everyone's life even more than they already do. It'll be in what's known as flyover country, the heartland, what's known as the real Americans that like liberty and freedom and don't appreciate that they're being told that your business is not essential. Not essential, really? You think it's not essential to me, the business owner? Is it not essential to my family? Not essential to my employees? They're all unemployed. I'm going bankrupt. I'm making them a house. There's no such thing as a non-essential business. Shut up. And they're telling people, oh, you can't go out. And I saw something somewhere, the governor says you can't go hunting. Somewhere else, somebody was like surfing out on the ocean in California. They got arrested surfing alone on the ocean. Like, what? Come on now. People are way too compliant and giving in to this government crap way too easily. But you don't need me to lead it. It's already happening. And that's what Getty talks about here. There must be dissenters, people that are going to not buy the crap that they're being fed. And then, check this out, Getty says in early 60s, but I sense a strong wind of change in the offing. I'm of the opinion that America and its people are awakening to the realization that the lotus eating binge is over. The hangover is already beginning to hurt, but it's having a highly beneficial effect. Through bleary eyes, we start to see the grave errors and deadly dangers in the, quote, all is well and could not be better thesis, so long peddled by some of our leaders and the drumbeaters of Madison Avenue. I'm convinced the American people are ready to reclaim their minds and their nation, to take them back from the pressure groups, selfish minorities and hucksters to whom they lost them by default in recent years. I predict the vanishing American dissenters will soon reappear on the American scene and will once again make themselves heard, once again be given fair. It will be a pleasure and a great relief to welcome them back. The nation's future will be brighter and far more secure for the return of the breed, the vanishing American dissenter. He wrote that just before the tumultuous late 60s, where the dissenters came back in mass and protested the war and government and all kinds of other things. Well, the time is now for that to happen again. So Getty, as he's done throughout the whole book, which is why we've been doing this multi-part series on this timeless book for the past number of Foundation Fridays, and still got a little ways to go. We're in the last section now of the book, but I'm going to keep bringing it to you, and I'm going to keep bringing it and making it current, even though Getty doesn't need a lot of help from me making this current, because, like I said, these principles are timeless, not just about how to be rich, how to make money, how to build a business, but how to live a rich life. So take it for what it's worth. You can just say Getty was a fool, and dissent is wrong, and I believe everything Fauci says, and I believe whatever the government says, and I believe what Cuomo says. Like, we're still waiting. Aren't we still waiting for the peak? Cuomo doesn't need those ventilators yet because we're waiting for the peak. Oh, that's right. There is no peak. There's no it doesn't matter how that the government has directed all the hospitals and doctors to code every single death as COVID-19. There's still not going to be some big peak. All the models wrong. I say wrong. They're not wrong. They were incorrect, but they did what they were meant to do. Scared the crap out of the American people, crashed the economy, and got more dependence on the government. Oh, I need my stimulus check. I need my loan. I need my handout. That's what business owners are talking about, Ron. I talk to business owners all day long, all the time. Oh, I'm trying to get this loan and this way. That's what they got us doing, instead of concentrating on, hey, here's my new marketing campaign because I'm opening up a new location, or I'm putting in a new... No, now we're doing something different because we have to. Because restaurant is not allowed to have people come in, even though a grocery store is. So grocery stores, people can go in and touch all the food and do anything they want, but a restaurant, people can't go into. So by necessity, people are doing different things in their businesses. I wrote a free report about it. My newest free report is called How to Profit from Chaos, because there are certain things you can do as a business owner, and hopefully you are watching my video, certain things you can do to overcome this ridiculous panicdemic that everyone has gotten themselves into. Not everyone compliant like sheep, but for the most part, enough people are. So it's a horrible situation for business. And you can go to profitfromchaos.com, get my free report. I'm going to help you out to how to get out of it. And then I'm going to give you a private invitation, exclusive invitation to my private Facebook group, Profit from Chaos. You can come in there and hang out with people who don't have stinking thinking. We're not sitting there complaining and miserable and saying, oh, my business is closed and nothing I can do. Every single day I put in a new example of another business where the business owner said, I refuse to think that way. I refuse to just sit here and wait for a government check. I'm going to do something. And that is going to be inspiring, going to be instructional to how you can do the same thing in your business. So go to profitfromchaos.com, because there's always going to be chaos. It's always going to be something new. So if you think this is the last virus that they're going to all trump up, and no pun intended, but they're all going to make it seem like, oh, this is the end of the world and this is the latest thing that's different than everything other, and we got to shut everything down, and we got to take control, and we got to curtail your liberties, and we got to shut down your businesses. Like, oh my goodness, politicians drunk with power over this thing. They're going to continue to do it over and over. So even if you weren't prepared for this one, what steps you're going to take to be ready when they shut it down again in the fall or the spring, or because this is going to come back or be a new strain, or all that BS that they hear. So go to profitfromchaos.com and help you out to overcome all this BS that's going on. So Jim, Sid, Jeff, other people, everyone, I can't see in the sunlight, but thanks everyone being here live. Thanks everyone watching on the replay. Get over there, profitfromchaos.com, get my free report and get an invite to my Profit from Chaos private Facebook group, because remember, we're all in this together. Catch you tomorrow on Social Media Saturday. Over and out. Bye-bye.